Hey guys, my name is Kev and thank you for coming back to the channel or checking it out if it's your first time. Today we're going to do something a little bit different on the channel. We're going to be talking about PC VR, and I want to start talking a bit more about PC VR on this channel because I really do enjoy gaming in VR on the PC. I've been doing it for about a year now and it's been a good experience. That being said, on the Radeon 7000 series graphics cards, there were known to be some performance issues, specifically in VR, that was reported by AMD. Recently, AMD released their July driver update, and they said that these issues should be fixed. So we're going to take a look at that performance. But before we do, if you like the content that you're seeing here, hit that like button if you would, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and get into it. So as I mentioned before, about 3 months ago, I upgraded from the NVIDIA RTX 2080 Ti to the AMD Radeon 7900 XT. And I've been having a great time with this card since I've gotten it. It's been fantastic, and I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it. However, one major problem that I did have with the card is VR performance not being where it's supposed to be. And this is something that AMD has said specifically that I agree with. Now, that's not to say that the games aren't playable. It's just to say that the games should have been playing better. Now, what makes this a little confusing is AMD doesn't specify what games are actually having trouble. Because it's not all games. Like, all games weren't having trouble. But I know I specifically was having trouble with Half-Life Alyx. That was giving me a lot of crashing, screen tearing, load spikes. It was really, really bad. Well, that's one of the games we're going to be testing today, along with a couple others. And let's see if the performance is any better. But first, let's talk about the specs on the PC that I'm going to be testing with. Of course, my PC specs are always in the description as well. I have an ASRock Phantom Gaming AMD Radeon 7900 XT. I have 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 memory running at 3600 megahertz, Ryzen 7 3700X CPU running at stock speeds. The games are all running off of my SATA SSD. I'm targeting 90 hertz on the Quest 2. I am using the link cable. We are on the latest version of Windows 10. Now, first thing I want to say about performance is that not all games I tested were bad. Not all of them are fixed, and not all of them are good. I have tried 5 different games that we're going to be using in this video that I've had time to talk about. And the first one I want to talk about is probably the one that I had the worst time in, and that's No Man's Sky. Now, this is my first time ever playing No Man's Sky at all. I bought it specifically to play in VR. And with this being my first foray into No Man's Sky, I don't know if I want to go back. The game is just completely unstable. I could only get it going for about 5 minutes at a time without getting headaches from the severe screen tearing, the world just kind of bobbing, jumping around everywhere. That's if it didn't crash. The frame rates are terrible. I was just getting bad headaches. I didn't get nauseous, and I usually don't in VR. But like, this was just a really, really bad experience. I've heard of others having great experiences with this game. I don't know if that's something specifically with AMD or with the Quest 2 or what. I just know my experience was not good, and I don't know if I'm going to come back to this in VR. However, the next game that I have played, one of the most popular VR games and one of my favorite VR games, is Beat Saber. And this game ran amazingly. And it's a great time. It's always a fun game. I didn't have any major issues really before the patch either, but the game does run better. It's smoother. It feels more polished. So I do see some improvement there. I'm not sure what they did, but it's Beat Saber. It usually runs really well regardless of what you have. Beat Saber is always a safe bet if you're playing in VR. I also tried Sniper Elite VR. Now, I did try Sniper Elite beforehand, and I was getting the terrible frame rate drops and things when I was playing it before the patch. I couldn't, if I tried to go above 72 hertz, I couldn't do that. Now I can play it at 90 hertz. It drops into the mid 80s for frame rate sometimes. That doesn't bother me. Getting like 85, 86 frames per second is fine for me. I don't get nauseous from that, but I know some people might. So I would say, be careful of that. I've noticed a substantial difference. I've noticed that the game does feel and play a lot better. I'm playing it at max settings with no visual compromises on this particular game. It's been great. Next, I tried Serious Sam First Encounter VR. This is the first Serious Sam game. And again, it's been flawless. Now keep in mind, this is a flat screen conversion of an older title from the 2000s. It's a first person shooter, reminiscent of the kind of shooters you might have played in the 90s, say like a Doom or something like that. Again, minor frame rate drops, but we're talking like literally like 2-3 frames at a time. Nothing to even worry about or care about. It's been a great time for me. To be perfectly honest, I didn't even know the frame rate dropped until I actually pulled up FPS VR and saw frames dropping. So it's like, does it even matter at that point? For me, it doesn't, but I know for others, that's still a kind of a big deal. And then the final game we're going to talk about is Half-Life Alyx. And this is a big deal to me because Half-Life Alyx is really the game that got me interested in playing in VR in the first place. Before that, actually, I had no real interest in VR at all. But I really wanted to try this game. Again, I wanted to play through it. And this is a huge improvement. There are some caveats, though. Like, I did have to go in and turn down textures from ultra to high. I went from ultra to high settings as well. But I can play the game at 90 hertz with minimal frame rate drops. There's still a little bit of hitching. Like I was mentioning before, I used to get crashes. I haven't crashed at all. I did get the occasional load spike, like maybe after 5 to 10 minutes or so of going to an area, as opposed to getting them like every 30 to 90 seconds. So that is a massive improvement. And I also used to get this weird error message that said you don't have enough GPU memory, but I learned that turning down the textures helped with that a lot. It's kind of weird to say that on a card that has 20 gigs of video memory, though. I don't know why it's doing that. But I also read that people are having this on a whole slew of graphics cards. It's just a bug in the game, and to not worry about it. The game feels a lot better. It's still not the polish that I want from it, but that's the kind of polish that I'm used to from Valve. It's still not there yet. But like I said, it is a huge improvement. So in conclusion, I don't want to make this about AMD versus NVIDIA because everybody makes everything about Radeon versus NVIDIA. I will say that as far as if you already have this card, you're going to have a much better experience in VR. Much, much better. If you already have one of these 7000 series cards, I think you're going to be in great shape. I see no reason to sell it to go NVIDIA because you're going to have a good time. Now, if you're buying a brand new card for VR and you're specifically looking for PC VR, maybe you might want to stick with NVIDIA. That might be a little bit of the safer bet for right now. But at least in my experience, what I'm experiencing and what I've done with these games over this weekend since this patch has come out, again, it's been fantastic. I couldn't be happier. I'm still extremely happy about my 7900 XT purchase. No regrets here. It's been great. I just want AMD to give it a little bit more polish. I feel like we're about 85 to 90% of like the way there of what I actually want. And now it's just like the fine tuning, the minor optimizations here and there to make it perfect. And I don't know if this is something on Meta's side. I don't know if it's something on Radeon's side. And to be perfectly honest, I don't care. I just want it fixed. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Are you looking to get into VR yourself? Are you already playing in VR? If so, let me know what you think about it. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.